for your Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wilding in the stands. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gonna be our year. We're here drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring. Yeah.
Oh no! We suck again!
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds, the Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans, by fans. Unfortunately, the Sacramento Kings lose tonight to the Washington Wizards, 125-111. But hey, welcome in, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy Friday. Dude, I lost a lot of energy watching this game, Calvin. I'm not going to lie, dude. It sucked it right out of me. But how are you, man? How are you?
Well, I'm not doing too much better on the energy front, Barry. I got to be honest. This was the hardest game of the year for me to watch by far. I had a rough day at work. It was one of those days where you couldn't really get anything going. You kept telling yourself, all right, I just got to let everything kind of, do its course, and I'm not going to show too much frustration on my face. And then I had to watch this game. And I got to be honest, I couldn't stop from letting the frustration show on my face. It was really difficult game to watch. No! The Kings did not show up.
We suck again!
We suck again.
Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I got to pop one of these guys. Cheers, everybody.
Definitely need one of those.
Dude, I was actually having a great day, Calvin. I was golfing out on the course. I was hitting them straight, dude. I had a couple really, really nice pars, couple good putts. I was having a great day, man. I was ready for this game. I was pumped. I was so stoked, dude. I was looking up Wizard jokes all afternoon. I know I was talking smack about the Wizards a couple nights ago. And, hey, the Kings didn't even show up to this game tonight. Calvin, we're here. We're ready for work, dude, but the Kings didn't show up. And it seemed like they didn't even want to play defense until like 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter of this game, which was disappointing. A combination of, not playing good defense, not making any shots. And honestly, Kyle Kuzma is playing like he wants to get traded to Sacramento. I know he's probably showcasing himself tonight for the game. But Calvin, let's start off with your first thoughts on the game tonight.
Just exactly what you said. They did not show up. They were not ready for this game whatsoever. I mean, sometimes guys just have good nights, right? Whether it's on your own end or the opposing end, and they're just on fire. And that the Wizards had a few of those players tonight. However, the Kings did not do anything to get these guys out of their rhythm. Way too many face cuts, too much free movement on the floor tonight without anybody trying to put a body on anyone. Back cuts, wide open shots. This team, sometimes your offense is what fuels you, and I think that describes the Kings very well right now. In order to be a good team, we had this debate, maybe a few shows ago, are the Kings a good team or a great team? What's the difference between those things? When great teams are not getting their job done on offense, they use their defense to kind of light a fire under them and get themselves back into the game. I feel like this team, if they're not knocking down shots, everything just completely falls apart. The ball stops moving, and then they stop moving defensively. There are a couple good moments here where some guys take charges. Davion is in there again, but it seems to me like if the Kings can't get off to a good start offensively, it just affects everything else that they do, and it makes it damn near impossible to come back against a team, especially when you're on fire from the outside.
Couldn't agree more. Shout out to everybody here in the chat. Mike, I see you. Nate, Callum, Tito, Bouncer, Silva. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. And, dude, make sure you guys smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button. I got to shake myself out a little bit, Calvin. I got to bring some energy, dude. It's hard after a loss, especially a loss like this, where it basically rips your heart out, right? I'm predicting a 40-point win for the Kings. I'm the reason they lost tonight, Calvin. I jinxed them, and then they didn't even show up for the game, and they end up getting worked by the Washington Wizards. Also saw Tyrese Halliburton put up a career high in points tonight, sets the franchise record for the Pacers for threes tonight. A lot of things going on.
Luka had 50.
a lot going on tonight. But hey, let's dive here into the box score. As I mentioned, Kings lose tonight 125-111 to the Washington Wizards. Domantas Sabonis, second straight triple-double for him. 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists in 34 minutes, 5 of 14 from the field. Not his efficient self that we normally see, but he did get it done out there, and only 2 personal fouls for him tonight. Nobody was playing defense on this team, so not a lot of personal fouls to go around. 4 for De'Aaron Fox. But not many else. Harrison Barnes, 11 points, 5 rebounds in 38 minutes, 4 of 13 from the field, 2 of 7 from three-point range. Only 3 points tonight for Keegan Murray, Calvin. He really, really struggled. 1 of 8 shooting, 1 of 4 from three-point range, played 22 minutes, 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists for De'Aaron Fox in 35 minutes, 9 of 16 from the field, missed all 3 of his three-point attempts. 14 points for Kevin Huerter in 24 minutes. And then as far as the bench goes, pretty much Trey Lyles put up 14, and my guy Malik Monk put up 16, 5 and 4 in 27 minutes. Nobody else really showed up in this game, Calvin. Not that these guys even did show up, right? I was pretty disappointed out of everybody tonight, not named Domantas Sabonis, and even him, he was not his normal efficient self. 7 to 10 or whatever that we've seen as of late. He was pretty inefficient. As far as the Wizards go, 32 points for Kyle Kuzma, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. The dude played incredible. 24 points for Bradley Beal and 21 for Rui Hachimura off the bench. Calvin, anything else that really stands out here to you in the box score?
Well, I think normally when the Kings really struggle offensively and they don't shoot very well, you typically see them get pounded on the boards as well. They had 13 offensive rebounds in this game, and they still were unable to really generate any type of offense. That's when you know it's really a tough night out there. 13 offensive rebounds, you should be able to get some good, easy putbacks inside and help cut into the lead. When you're able to take advantage of the offensive glass like that, the Kings aren't normally in that position or have that luxury, and they still could not get anything going. So it was a really rough night.
Yeah, extremely rough, right? There's a couple numbers that we've circled that needs to happen for the Kings to get a victory this season. First off is 13 plus threes, only 10 in this game, 10 of 32. They shot exactly the same percentage as Washington from three-point range, 31.3. But that 13 number seems to be key for the Sacramento Kings. Couple more threes, and they're definitely in this game. They did make some free throws tonight, 77% from the free throw line, 27 of 35. That is a good number. They did out-rebound Washington. But, the assist number, season low, 19 assists tonight, not good. And then turnovers, 13 total turnovers as opposed to only 10 from the Washington Wizards. And Calvin, out of those 10 turnovers, not many of those were forced turnovers. And a lot of those came late when the Wizards were already up a ton in this game. The Kings were only able to force 1 turnover in the first half of this game, which I thought was pretty big. I think this Kings offense really gets going in fast break when they're creating turnovers. They're getting guys in transition. That simply just did not happen tonight for the Kings. We did see it happen for the Washington Wizards. They just kept driving to the basket and just snaking through everybody and getting easy buckets at the rim. So definitely, as Katie says, there's something you can learn from every single game. I don't know what the Kings are really going to learn from this game, Calvin, other than, how to reset and start over and kind of block this one out of your memory, because that's what needs to happen. That's definitely what I'm working on. Shout out to Jesus here in the chat. Shout out to PK watching from Lithuania. That's awesome. Hopefully you're having fun there, visiting your family. I've always wanted to go. It looks like an amazing place. And then we got Gothan here in the building and Jeff the Lefty. So welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Hey, Joey. Good to see you. Any other thoughts, Calvin, as far as, box score, team stats, anything like that?
I mean, I think there's not just one thing that you look at here. This was a total debacle from every angle of it. I mean, that first quarter was pretty good, at least for the beginning of it. But the second quarter, I saw somebody in here said it all went downhill when they gave away those free cookies. after the 2 missed free throws. That's honestly right. I mean, it was so loud in there at one point. I'm watching on TV thinking to myself, man, it sounds incredibly loud in Golden One Center, especially when they missed those 2 free throws. I don't remember there being much of any energy in the crowd from that point moving forward. This game is just, we talk about throwaways like we had just a couple last week, the Knicks game, the Sixers game, even that Hornets game earlier this week. This was just bad, man. I mean, it got so bad that there was one point I'm watching and I felt like if I hear the commercial, hey, Jack, the data shows our people really love our new and improved Ultimate Cheeseburgers one more time, I was going to take the turnover chain or the winning chain and strangle myself with it. It was that bad.
Oh, man, that's funny. What's up, Gothan? Vinny's doing great, man. I just spoke with him yesterday. He's doing his wedding streaming business, and he actually got a job here on the island at this big, it's called the MAC, the Maui Arts and Cultural Center, doing a lot of concerts and cool stuff like that. So Vinny's doing great, but I do want to get him as a special guest here on the show soon so you guys can hang out with him. Also want to remind you all, we are on Twitter Spaces tonight, so if you would like to join the discussion, if you'd like to have your voice heard, if you want to ask us some questions, or just make fun of us and have a good time, you can join us on Twitter Spaces, Royal_Rebounds. It's pinned up at the top, or you can click on our icon and hit Join Space, request to come up top, and then if you'd like to speak, I can definitely let you join in. All right, Bench Matthews in the house. I said this felt like the first game the Kings got flat out coached. We kept a small lineup against a team absolutely abusing us in the paint. Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. What are your thoughts on that, Calvin? Did we get out-coached in this game?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit. It's one thing if, it didn't matter who was on the court for the Kings tonight. I get it. Maybe you could have played the backup centers a little bit more, but when they were out there, they weren't making much of a difference either. And if I'm a coach and I know that things are really falling apart defensively and I can't seem to get any stops and get out in transition, I need to put the guys who are the most disruptive defensively on the court, and that's not our big men. That's our guards. That's Davion. That's De'Aaron. The one thing I would have done differently is I would have played KZ more, especially in the third quarter. After the Kings come out, it was a terrible second quarter, but when you start the second half, you're thinking, okay, at least there's a 5 to 7 minute stretch here where if the Kings can work their way back into this game, you got a chance to finish it. First possession, complete discommunication on a pick and roll that happens right at half court. So you're 35 feet from the basket. You leave the guy with the ball wide open. He walks into the lane, throws it to Kuzma in the corner for a wide open three, a late contest, and then no rebound. Kuzma goes to get his own rebound, puts it in. After that play, I knew that the Kings were not winning this game. So I would have gone with KZ earlier in the second half, but let's be honest, guys. It's not like playing Rashawn Holmes and Keita were going to get us back into this game.
Yeah, that's a great point. We saw KZ play a little bit. I think it was like late third, early fourth quarter. He misses that three in the corner, has a great move to the basket, misses the layup, and then he gets benched right away. Only plays 3 minutes in this game, so he definitely had a pretty short leash tonight with Mike Brown. Shout out to Sean here in the chat and Joey, Neil. Welcome in, guys. Welcome. Calvin, the thing, for me about this game that really kind of broke it down for me was that second quarter where the Wizards went on the 28-9 run. They just blew the Kings out of the water. At that point, I'm just like, the Kings didn't even show up for this game. Like, I was already, writing the game off at that point. I'm like, okay, well, there is a chance they could come back. They have gone on terrific runs in the past to help cut them, cut the lead, get back into the game. But, dude, 28-9 in the second quarter is just brutal. And then in the third, they continue to pour it on. They go up 30. The Kings go on a little bit of a run, like a 15-5 run late in that third quarter to cut the lead, and then they're still down entering the fourth by more than they were at halftime, which was 18 and a half. I believe it was 19 or 20 going into the fourth quarter. So it's just too much of a hill to climb, Calvin. It's what we've talked about through multiple losses this year, where you got to start out hot. You just have to start out hot in this league, because if you allow other teams to start out hot and you don't do the same thing and you get down early, it's just a big hole to climb out of, and it's tiring, dude. It's exhausting watching them try and climb out of these holes. I mean, I thought the Wizards were going to be exhausted, right? They're on the back-to-back second night. They had all the energy tonight, and the Kings did not. They just simply didn't. The Kings were not able to set their own pace in this game. They weren't able to control anything in this game. The crowd was loud. The crowd was there. We were in it. We heard the cowbells. Everyone was getting free cookies, and the Kings just simply couldn't get it done tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the second game, too, this year where the Kings have gone up against a team, Eastern time zone team, on a road trip on the second night of a back-to-back, coming in with a poor record. However, the record is poor because both those teams have not been healthy all season long. We talked about it with the Hornets. They got LaMelo Ball back. They got some of these guys back. They play a lot better all of a sudden. The Wizards are the same way. This is actually a pretty good team if they're fully healthy. They've got a lot of solid players. Everybody's in awe, maybe, or not awe, but everybody was very impressed by Kyle Kuzma tonight, and I think that's going to feed into the Kings should go after Kuzma narrative. I'm way more impressed with Rui Hachimura in this game. Coming off the bench, that is the guy that I want on this team, because Kuzma is a volume shooter. This offense, again, for Sacramento, when you talk about them playing at their peak, the ball is moving, guys are taking what the game brings to them, equal opportunities, take open shots when you've got it, move the ball when you don't. That's Rui. In this game, he was highly efficient. I think he would fit in perfectly on the team. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy to go get him or anything like that. I don't even know if the Wizards would entertain a trade for Rui Hachimura at this point. But that's the guy that I was most impressed with in this game, not Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few guys to be impressed with on the Washington Wizards, because they just played well tonight. They outplayed the Sacramento Kings straight up. That's what they did. Gothan says, we won 3 out of the last 5. I'm all right. Yeah, Gothan, I get it. 3 out of the last 5 is good. Definitely more than we're used to. But I am seeing some troubling things starting. We're losing games against teams we should beat. I'm talking about the Washington Wizards. I'm talking about the Charlotte Hornets. I'm talking about the New York Knicks. These are things that we've talked about in the past couple weeks about the difference between a good team and a great team, right? And the main difference is, winning games that you're supposed to win. And I see PK, sorry, I'm speaking too fast. I see PK here saying losing at home, and that's so, so important, is you got to get your business done at home, especially against a lot of these teams that are very, very beatable in the Washington Wizards and the Charlotte Hornets. And you just continue to lose at home, the next 2 games are back-to-back against the Nuggets, at home. So we'll see what the Kings can do there. I think Denver's got, the best record in the West at this point, at 19-11. They're looking great. It's not like we can really take advantage of, the back-to-back, because we're playing on the same back-to-back, right? It's not like we're catching them on the second night of a back-to-back. Maybe they're tired. We're the same team in both nights. In the last 2 teams we played that were on back-to-backs in Charlotte and Washington, we lost both of those games. So they need to figure it out. They need to bring some more energy. And Calvin, I know you said you're not interested in Kyle Kuzma because he's more of a volume shooter, but we've talked about the defense, right? And this Kings team has made strides on the defensive end of the floor this year. But I also see certain moments where this Kings team just fails to score. They just have moments where they just cannot score. And, I see a lot of people are frustrated tonight with, the 3 points that were being jacked up, and they didn't hit a lot of them. But there was plenty of moments tonight, Calvin, where they drove to the basket and just missed layups. They had second-chance opportunities, multiple rebounds. They just put it up. It rolls off the rim. And just honestly, a lot of bad shots. So, there is a part of me that's like, maybe this Kings team needs a little bit more offensively, guys that they can go to. Everything looks great when Keegan Murray's got 20-plus points. But, this is a rookie, right, that's played 30 games in the NBA. Maybe we're leaning a little too heavily on him for scoring sometimes. We're relying on old man Harrison Barnes, to get some buckets. Sabonis is having great games, and we're still losing games. So, what does it got to be to fix this? I'm not really quite sure. But I don't think it's as easy, Calvin, as just saying, we need a rim protector, let's bring him in, and everything is fixed.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
What's up, Key Kings? Good to see you. Lyles did great tonight. Yeah, Lyles played well. I like Lyles a lot. You can tell he's finally starting to bounce back into things after dealing with the sickness and all that stuff. So it's definitely good to see him playing much, much better. Calvin, you want to kind of talk to me a little bit about Keegan Murray? I briefly just mentioned him. Not a great night for him. Only 3 points, 1 of 8 from the field, 4 rebounds and an assist. Only played 22 minutes tonight, which is the least amount for all the starters. Kevin Huerter played 24. And then other than that, Sabonis with 34 minutes. Why do you think Keegan didn't play very many minutes tonight? Did he look off? What do you think's going on with him?
Well, I think he didn't get the regular minutes or the regular starters minutes because of the fact that he didn't play well defensively. It's pretty clear to me that Mike Brown is going to play guys if they play defense, right? I look at 2 guys, Keegan Murray and Terrence Davis. Terrence Davis, 4 minutes tonight. Keegan Murray, 22. They didn't play as much as you would expect from them because they didn't have it defensively. They were, late rotating a lot of times. And with this team that plays the small lineup, not many, in big guys inside, you have to be communicating and together on the same page on the perimeter, rotating back to the three-point line, and also being in the right place in the paint to cut off that drive when the initial ball defender gets beat. Murray and Davis didn't do that tonight. So obviously he looked off because his shot wasn't falling. But if you're playing defense and you're engaged and you're in the right spot and you're rotating and closing out, you'll be on the court still because you can still affect the game even though the shot's not going down. But to me, both of those guys did not bring it tonight defensively.
Yep. Shout out to DJ here. DJ says, dang, we struggled against their length and couldn't defend the paint, couldn't drain open threes, bad combination. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we definitely struggled with the length of a guy like Porzingis inside. Like I said, there was a lot of layups that were missing this game, a lot of shots right at the rim that we just couldn't quite get in. So I think they did struggle with the size of this Washington Wizards team a little bit. Also, aloha to Jose. I don't know how we lost, man. We didn't show up, I guess. Goth in here says it's just our good team learning to be a great team. Growing pains, games leave a bad taste in your mouth, teaches you to bring your best no matter if you're supposed to win or not. I think that's a really, really good thing to mention there by Gothen is, growing pains do happen. And, yeah, some games you are supposed to win. And, you can't go with that mindset into any game, right? And you're right. Losing games like this probably makes you take the next game a little bit more seriously. Not that they didn't take tonight's game seriously, but, it does make you, I guess, a little less comfortable, right? Calvin, would you say that?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you're definitely, anytime you lose a game, you're going to be able to take something away from that in those lines, right? Whether it's you got blown out and you just didn't put forth the right effort, that to me is worse than just losing a game, right? And yes, I think for a team that hasn't had a lot of success in recent years and now that is enjoying some early season success, you have moments like this where you kind of, the Patriots say it all the time, eat your humble pie, right? No matter how many good things you did throughout the course of a game, if you watch the film, you can probably look at something and say, all right, time to eat your humble pie there. You didn't do the right thing, or you weren't in the right position, or you just made, a bad read, bad play, something like that. There's a lot of those moments. here for the Kings in this game. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden the season is going to, reverse and take a downward trend. Every team in the league right now is going through a lot of ups and downs. If you look at all the splits of the last 10 games for most teams, they're right around 500 because there's a lot of good teams out there. You're winning one, you're losing one. You're winning one, you're losing one. So it's not like, everything is falling apart here. But if I'm a defensive coach like Mike Brown, what I'm really alarmed with in this game is that the Kings, from pretty much the middle of the first quarter on, they just never had the energy and the effort defensively. And that is a big problem because the Kings have to have that to make up for their lack of size anyway. We know that they deal or struggle with teams with length. We talked about it in the keys to the game. The Wizards defend the paint really well. They're 5th in the league in blocks per game. They also don't turn the ball over. They're 5th in the league in fewest turnovers. They had big advantages in both of those areas tonight. But it's the effort and energy. When you start low, it's really hard to get it up in the middle of a game, whether or not you're down by 20 or 30.
Yeah, that's a great point. So when you talk about energy, when you talk about effort, like I said, it didn't really look like the Kings wanted to play defense until, late in the fourth quarter in this game. Does that come down to coaching? Is that a coach's responsibility to get his team energized, motivated to show up to a game?
No, that's on the players. Coaches are supposed to tell you where to be schematically. There's two sides to every coin or every story, right? Like a good coach should be able to motivate players and get them ready to play. But if you can't get yourself fired up to play defense, nobody else is going to. It always comes from within inside. It's always your will and desire and determination to say, I don't care what's going on, how many points we're down. This guy literally is not going to get by me, or he's not going to score. That comes from the individual player, not the coach.
It also looked like there was just a lack of communication tonight by a lot of the Kings players. Some bad rotations, guys not switching. The Wizards got anything they wanted. They were able to get to the basket with ease tonight, and they just made more shots than the Kings. Shout out to Brian here. Shout out to Key Kings and Sports Streamer. We are doing well. Hopefully you guys are doing good. Key King says we have too many nonchalant personalities on this team. That's an interesting statement there, Calvin, because, we've raved about the fact that guys like Harrison Barnes, guys like Keegan Murray are just kind of this, level ship, right? They don't get too high. They don't get too low. People could confuse that with being nonchalant, right? You could say a guy like Domantas Sabonis, as active as he is out there and as vocal as he is, he's not known for, arguing about every call and stuff like that. We did see De'Aaron Fox get ejected in the last game, which I said is not a bad thing because he did set his team up horribly for the rest of the game. However, I saw a little bit of a glimpse of some dog in him, a guy that's, not willing to give up, a guy that's just wants to let them know how he feels because he cares so much about this game. Do you agree with Key Kings? Do you think there may be too many nonchalant personalities on this Kings team?
I do think that there are a bunch of them. I don't know how bad of a thing that is because Fox is a pretty fiery guy, and if he's one of the leaders on this team, that should be able to kind of make up for having a bunch of other guys that are nonchalant, right? Because your best player is the one that is supposed to bring it every night. And I'm not saying that he didn't. I thought Fox played good defense tonight. I thought he was energetic. He missed a bunch of shots early, and he didn't make a lot of his free throws either, which is a problem that he's had on and off. The Kings missed a bunch of free throws as a team, even though they took a ton, 35. But overall, for the makeup of your team, I like having guys that don't get too, leaned one way or the other. Sometimes it looks to me like Keegan Murray can maybe get a little too down on himself. I don't know if that's just how he looks or if that's actually how he's feeling. But I like having guys that are that don't focus too much on talking to the officials or don't focus too much on, getting into it with another player. They forget the bad plays. They move on. They forget the good plays. There's no reaction. As long as you have a guy who's supposed to be one of the leaders on your team that can rally the troops and bring, light the fire under the team when things are going south, that should make up for it. So it's really hard to say, not being in the huddle or not being in the locker room, if De'Aaron is doing enough in that area or if guys aren't responding to it the right way. I don't really know what the case is necessarily. I definitely don't think that he's not trying at all to help bring guys up when the team is down, but it's a difficult thing. I mean, obviously it looks worse, right, when you get blown out and you have a bunch of guys that don't seem to react too much either way. But then when you win big and you've got guys who are like, well, this is what we expect.
Everything looks good when you win.
Then it looks great.
Everything looks good when you win games. I mean, would you consider Kawhi Leonard to be nonchalant?
Overall, yes, absolutely. From like a personality standpoint, yeah.
He wins lots of games.
For sure. But I think when it comes down to it, in a tight playoff game, you're going to see him be a little bit more demonstrative. No doubt about it.
PK's hating on the chain. He says the chain's got to go. I don't think he's talking about your chain, Calvin, because that chain's been along for a while, and we've been doing well. I think he's referring to maybe the defensive player of the game chain, which, if my memory serves me right, we've handed it out 5 or 6 times max, right? I think Murray was the last one. I think HB got it twice, and then Sabonis either got it once or twice. It's a pretty new thing. So what are your thoughts on the chain? Are you superstitious about the chain?
I'm not superstitious on it. I don't think the chain can be a bad thing. I think any type of motivational tool to get guys to want to play defense better individually and better as a team is always a good thing. And the defensive player of the game chain is definitely one of those things. It brings the team together. You see how happy all the guys are partying, celebrating after they give the chain out, when they take the pictures in the locker room. That's a good thing, I would say. I wouldn't be taking that away. The question is, how do you get guys to play good defense in the moment when things are going wrong? I mean, you can't just bring the chain out and dangle it in front of them and say, who wants this? Like that's not a motivational tool, I would say. But the chain itself, I don't see any problem with it.
Shout out to Silva. Silva says it's the free cookies. We got a lot of superstitious people here in the chat, Calvin. They're blaming the cookies. They're blaming the chains. Guys, you got to blame your team, man. They didn't show up tonight. The Sacramento Kings did not show up tonight. That's where the problem lies. Guy is here in the house. What's up, Guy? Good to see you here. Lydia is here. Welcome in, Lydia. Ian is here as well. Welcome in. Brian. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Calvin, do you know what the Wizards' favorite subject was in school?
I do not.
Spelling. Good one, no? Didn't. Should I hit it? Good joke, bad joke? I don't know. I was looking up Wizard jokes all day because I thought we were going to have a fun postgame. I thought we were going to beat them by 40, and I was just going to be clowning on the Wizards, talking about how they don't have a state, they don't have a good logo, they're wearing pink jerseys. And they ended up clowning on us, so that was really, really unfortunate. Bad planning on my part. Guy says, I'm blaming 6'3" Harrison Barnes. Another shot at De'Aaron Fox there. Lydia says, I turned the game off at halftime, then returned last 3 minutes in the fourth, and just what I thought. Sad also. This happened right at home, mind you. Left an L-shaped present on the floor. Yeah, Lydia, that's exactly what happened. I thought about turning the game off at halftime, but hey, the third quarter was the best part of the game. So at least late in the third, where the Kings went on that run, I think it was 15-5, was the best part of the game in my opinion. The rest was pretty trash. Calvin, Sabonis had his second straight triple-double. This guy continues to play exceptionally well. He's looking like, I saw someone tweet, he's looking like a top 10 player in the NBA right now. 20 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists tonight. The dude is having an incredible season. Obviously an all-star in my mind, and I'm voting for him. I hope you are. Hopefully you all are. We'll definitely talk about that a little bit more here. But on the season, he's averaging 18 points per game, 12.4 rebounds, which is number 1 in the NBA, 6.6 assists, which is 12th in the NBA, and he's 7th in the NBA in field goal percentage. It's 62%. Give me your thoughts on Domantas Sabonis tonight. And then I also kind of want to hear from you just what your thoughts are in terms of like wins and losses for this team, right? Because we talk about a lot of these bench players that have been playing, not exceptionally well. But Domantas Sabonis, win or loss, has been playing really, really good. So does that mean that he's not really the key to this team? I mean, we haven't seen games without him, but, we kind of know what we're getting out of him every single night. He seems to do it. It seems like when we win games, it's usually, bench players or other guys stepping up. What are your thoughts on Sabonis? I know this is a really, really long question, but thoughts on Sabonis tonight, and then thoughts on his impact on winning games.
Well, I mean, he had another great game, a triple-double. This Wizards team presented a different type of problem defensively for Sacramento, because obviously we talk a lot about how the Kings don't defend the paint very well, and that's because they have a lack of size. Sabonis's rim protection ability has been brought up a bunch, even though statistically he's doing a lot better this season, best of his career probably. He's on pace to have the most blocks in one season in his career. But Porzingis is a different big to defend, right? Because he can attack you inside and outside. So that creates problems for a team that doesn't have any size, and your biggest guy is going to get drawn out of the paint to have to guard the other big man on the perimeter. It leaves the lane open. There were a lot of really, really bad face cuts, back cuts, wide open looks at the rim. And I think a lot of that is because the Wizards use Porzingis all over the floor. He's out on the perimeter. He drives. He posts up. He's offensive rebounding, crashing. So it was a compound of problems for the Kings defensively. In terms of Sabonis' impact on winning, he absolutely has a huge, huge, huge impact on winning. I mean, think about where the Kings would be if he wasn't on this team. They'd be one of the worst teams in the league. They wouldn't have a chance most nights against good teams. So he absolutely, to say he's not a key for them, I think is a drastic overreaction and understatement. Not that you were saying that, but if anybody is thinking that, or the idea that, Sabonis gets his numbers regardless, it doesn't mean that he really makes this team better. I don't think that's true at all.
Well, unfortunately, we might find out sooner rather than later how big his impact is on this Kings team. We did see him leave late in the fourth quarter with a right hand issue. Mike Brown has still not given us an update on that, so we'll definitely keep you guys posted if we find out here during the stream. But I wouldn't expect to hear much until tomorrow. But hopefully that hand is okay. We do have 3 days off until the next game on Tuesday, so that does help out a little bit. But yeah, a little concerning there with the hand injury. Definitely not something you want to see from your star player, especially late in the fourth quarter when you're down like 20 points in the game. So really, really unfortunate timing from there. Harrison Barnes struggled a little bit in this game. 11 points, 5 rebounds, no assists, 4 of 13 from the field. The dude looked old tonight, Calvin. There's been moments this season where we've praised Harrison Barnes. There's been moments we've been extremely critical of Harrison Barnes. And there's been moments where he's looked extremely old and outdated. Tonight was one of those games. Honestly, Calvin, Harrison Barnes reminds me of the old dude at the gym that doesn't wear deodorant and sweats on you when you're guarding him in basketball games. That didn't seem to work for him too well tonight. Where are you at right now with HB? Was just a bad game tonight?
Yeah, I think he just had an off night offensively. This Washington team is really deep at the wing and the forward position, and they have a lot of length, a lot of size, and a lot of skill. I mean, as we saw between Hachimura and Kuzma, those guys are 3-level scorers. They can drive well. Kuzma puts it on the floor a lot. they are really difficult to guard for a lot of people. So when you combine not making a ton of shots with having to struggle defensively, the Kings couldn't really get any rhythm either. The turnovers in the first half were so lopsided, so the Wizards were just running down the throat or down the barrel of the gun, into the paint on Sacramento. And again, I feel like it's just, this game was all about one little problem stacked on top of another one, building and building and building, not the way you want to build a house by any means. All of a sudden you look up and you're down 20. And then you mentioned, even when the Kings go on that 15-5 run in the third quarter, they're still down 20. It's not like you made up any ground whatsoever. So it was an off game for everybody, maybe not named Domantas Sabonis, offensively. And as a team, they got, like Malik Monk said, punked. They got hit in the mouth, and they never were able to recover. So I'm still feeling good about Harrison Barnes overall. He's done a lot of really, really good things for them this year. This was just not a good game for really anyone in particular person.
Yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel that. What's up, Angel? Good to see you here. A lot of people going off here in the chat talking about defense, how this team might not be a defensive-oriented team, even though it has a defensive-minded coach. What are they going to do? Those are all things that we're going to figure out here in the next couple weeks. I think that as we see losses like this pile up, and yes, they will pile up. Hopefully we can get more wins than losses, but losses like this will continue to pile up as we go through these growing pains. And I think losses like this really expose to Monty and a lot of other people that this team is not finished and that there are moves that can be made to help improve this roster, right? We all got up on our high horse when we were on, an 8-game winning streak earlier in the season, Calvin. Everything was amazing. It was sunshine and rainbows like you got in your background. Now we're not feeling the same way because we're starting to lose some of these games that we should have won, and it's exposing the team a little bit. So hopefully this helps Monty evaluate the talent that's on this team a little bit more and decide, what move do I make to help complete this team?
Yeah, we're getting into the roughest part of the regular season. It's a long season. There's a lot of games to be played. You've got to go up against really tough competition every single night. I mean, in terms of individual talent, there's more talent in the NBA now than there's ever been. So even when you play the Orlandos and the Houstons of the world, as a lot of good teams have seen and learned, the Boston Celtics lost 2 in a row to the Magic. Milwaukee got beat by Houston. It's not easy to win in the NBA, and it's not easy to bring the same type of energy and effort required to not just win, but compete every day in the NBA. Once you get into January and February, right before the All-Star break, that's a really tough stretch of the season to grind through, and that's usually in the past where the Kings have kind of fallen away and left themselves out of the playoff race, so to speak. So it's going to be a really important next few weeks for the Kings to battle through, and I think that they will. I mean, the coaching staff is much different this year. I think that the Kings have definitely bought in to everything that these guys are preaching differently in a more positive way than it's been over the past 5 to 6 years, maybe going back to Mike Malone or Dave Yeager. And they're more talented as well. So, yes, there are roster flaws and things that the Kings need to improve on. But again, looking at this from a big picture perspective rather than they got killed this one game, they can't win unless they go out and get a big man, that's not true. I think they'll come back next week into the week after, and they'll continue to put things together the right way and win games.
Yeah, great point. Brian says, we are several years away from being great. Enjoy the roller coaster ride in the meantime instead of throwing the Kings under the bus after every loss. Brian, I agree with you, right? We are several years away from being great, and it is going to be a fun ride. But, I don't think this is throwing the Kings under the bus after every loss. I think this is preaching accountability, right? You don't think that a fan base should keep a team accountable on nights where they simply don't show up and beat a team that they should have beaten, right? You know, it's not like we're playing the Boston Celtics or the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. We're playing the 13-21 or the 12-21 Washington Wizards. This is a team that, you know, is on the second night of a back-to-back, and this game is in Sacramento. This is a very, very winnable game, and the Kings just simply didn't show up. So it's not that we're throwing them under the bus. It's trying to keep them accountable, and I think that that's very, very important. But, Brian, I agree with you. This team is years away from being a great team and actually competing. We're all a little bit ahead of ourselves. We are excited, right, that this team is trending in the right direction. You know, maybe we lose in the first round of the playoffs. Maybe we lose in the play-in tournament. We'll see what happens. It all depends on health and you know, how far this team can gel, what moves are made before the deadline. But, yeah, I think you're right. It is important to, you know, not get ahead of yourself and understand that this is a process and this is going to take a lot of time, but you can still enjoy the ride. I think that is important. All right. Let's see here. So De'Aaron Fox, we talked about him briefly. 26 points for him tonight, 9 of 16 from the field. Did pick up 4 personal fouls. Didn't make a 3 tonight, only 3 assists. You know, I don't really have too much to say about De'Aaron Fox, Calvin. I mean, I think he did his thing tonight on the offensive end of the floor. Would like to see a little less fouls from him. But, you know, what else can you really expect out of De'Aaron, right? I think that he and Domantas Sabonis both did their job on the offensive end of the floor. It's just simply the rest of the team that didn't show up offensively, and the whole team didn't show up defensively. So that's kind of my thoughts there. As far as Kevin Huerter goes, 50% shooting from the field on 10 shots. It doesn't get much better than that, you know, for a role player. Normally he has a few assists to add to that. No assists for him tonight. And we mentioned only 19 for the team. It's crazy. Sabonis had 10 assists of that, and only 4 other assists out of all the other 4 starters. So pretty incredible numbers there. You want to touch on Fox and Huerter for a little bit?
Fox had a good game. I mean, he struggled to shoot, especially some of the shots that we've gotten so accustomed, like those mid-range shots. There were a few where I couldn't believe that they didn't go in. He was short on a lot of free throws tonight as well, but I thought he played good defense. He was challenging guys over screens. He was getting in guys' shorts, as they like to say, you know, when you're trying to make disruptions defensively. This was just a team failure. I mean, if one guy is playing really aggressive defense on the ball, that's not going to make a lot of difference if you're just allowing guys to walk behind you or in front of you wide open to get easy passes and easy looks inside or even wide open threes. I mean, the rotations were not good at all, and that's been a thing that the Kings, you know, an easy thing to look at to where you can say, okay, the Kings have a good chance to win tonight or they don't. It's looking at the defensive rotations. So Fox overall was good tonight, but it takes a village. It takes the entire team effort to win on a nightly basis in the NBA, especially on the defensive side. Kevin Huerter, man, the one thing that I kept saying to myself over and over again tonight is that guy commits a ton of fouls. We've praised him a lot early in the season for his ability to defend around the rim without fouling, even his ability to recover in certain situations after he gets beat. He, for a guy that is really important to them offensively, a guy that's got off to a really hot start and then kind of fell off of that fire, that rhythm from outside. If you keep stopping the game, creating fouls, and then having to go sit on the bench because all of a sudden you're in foul trouble, it's really hard to get yourself going again as an outside shooter. So he's got to do a better job of defending without fouling, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the whole team needs to do that more consistently, right? We're talking about Huerter, we're talking about Sabonis. They just need to do that more consistently. And yeah, nights like this expose a lot, right? And they just simply didn't show up, man. They didn't play defense in this game at all until 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That combined with missing a ton of shots does not work well. While everyone's joining in here, welcome in everybody. Welcome to Royal Rebounds, the Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans, by fans. If you're a Kings fan, smash up that like button and hit that subscribe button. Also, you can join in the conversation right now, live, if you want, on Twitter Spaces. Just log into Twitter, go to Royal_Rebounds. Make sure you follow us, and you can click on our profile icon, and it'll take you to the Twitter Space. You can request to come up on stage, and you can speak with us right here, right now. So feel free to jump onto Twitter if you would like to have your voice heard. All right, Dirt and Rust is here. Welcome in. Welcome. And everybody else is just joining in. Thank you guys for joining. Unfortunately, the Kings do lose tonight, 125-111 to the Washington Wizards. Domantas Sabonis did leave late in the fourth quarter with a right hand injury. I don't know if it's dislocated thumb or something. We'll definitely keep you guys updated on that. But, man, if we have to face the Nuggets twice back-to-back without Sabonis, Calvin, that's going to be a very, very tall task. A very, very tall task. And we'll talk about that here a little bit later. But I want to wrap up tonight's coverage of the Wizards-Kings game. Any other thoughts, Calvin? I mean, I know Trey Lyles played incredibly well, 14 points for him. Malik Monk, 16 points, but not very efficient, 4 of 11. And then the rest of the bench didn't really show up. You know, Davion Mitchell, 17 minutes, tried to do what he could, made both of his shot attempts, but obviously there was holes all over the floor, and he couldn't plug all those gaps. Any other comments on the bench? Any of the starters? Anything else you want to say about this game tonight?
It was just a bad game, man. I mean, Malik Monk, 16 points off the bench, but a team-high 4 turnovers. You know, I felt like the team in general was pretty careless with the ball for a good portion of this game. There's not one area or one person where you look at and you say, yeah, if they would have done this differently as a team, or if this guy would have done these 3 things differently, they probably would have won this game. They had problems at every level. They couldn't make shots. They couldn't stop shots. They got rebounds, but they couldn't do anything with it. They just let the Wizards walk all over them defensively, and they didn't take it to them on the offensive end. So this was a tough game all around.
Here's a quote here from Mike Brown. "I'm going to keep searching. Nobody has really been able to hold on to that spot. We need to be able to spell Domas without our backup center picking up multiple fouls in a 6-minute span. I'll keep searching until I can find that." That was a quote on the backup center position, something they're still trying to figure out. We've seen Metu fill in. He only had 3 minutes tonight. Trey Lyles seemed to be the guy that really, really filled in tonight for Sabonis. But Sabonis played 34 minutes, which is a lot in a game the Kings were getting obliterated, right? They were down by 30 at one point in this game, and they were down by 20 for pretty much the entire second half. So still searching. Whether it's a defensive-minded big or someone that can kind of do the same thing as Sabonis, we'll see what Monty decides. He's got a lot of decisions looming. But as Edward says here in the chat, you know, they lost this one because of defense. They could not stop the Wiz and looked like they lacked any focus all game long. Yeah, Edward, you're 100% correct. And this is not the first time they've done that this season, Calvin. We've seen multiple games now where this Kings team just did not show up, whether it was the offensive or the defensive end of the floor. But, Calvin, I'm ringing the alarm a little bit here. I'm not opening up all the windows, running down the street and shouting at everybody. But, I'm starting to get that alarm a little going because I'm seeing some red flags here, some things that are continuing to pop up. And the Kings are losing games that they should be winning, which is not what you want to see out of a team that's continuing to improve and trying to make the play-in spot, but, they still have to execute.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I will say that the Wizards, when they're fully healthy, are a much better team than I think people are giving them credit for. But I get it. They're at home. The Kings should be playing much, much better than this. Yes.
Yep. All right, let's move on past this game tonight. Like I said, we are on Twitter Spaces, so if you'd like to join in, feel free. Royal_rebounds on Twitter, and just request to join the space, and you can come up on stage and talk. But Calvin, a couple things I want to talk about. First off, All-Star voting. All-Star voting started last week. It goes until January 21st. You can vote every 24 hours, and you can vote for 5 players. So make sure you guys go in and vote for all your favorite Kings players to make the All-Star team, and continue voting every single day, because we really all need to work together to help get these guys to the All-Star game. So do not forget to do that. Also, go to kings.com /VIP. If you want to enter in to win courtside tickets with the Kings, a chance to meet 50 Cent, all that stuff, they're still running that promotion. So make sure you check out kings.com /VIP to enter in that competition or that contest. And hey, if you win, bring me with you. Bring me with you. Calvin, did you see the leaked All-Star jerseys?
No, I did not.
I don't have them ready, so I'm not going to pull them up on the screen. But, I saw the leaked, I believe it's the Eastern Conference jerseys, the blue ones. They look pretty similar to the past ones, pretty regular, plain. Do you miss the days when guys would actually wear their team jersey in the All-Star game? Or do you like it better when they wear the simple, red, blue, and everybody's got the same thing on?
I loved it when everybody wore their own team jersey. I thought that was really cool. Maybe I'm just getting old at this point. But I felt like ever since they had the uniforms for the All-Star game, that it just hasn't looked the same and hasn't been as cool, in my opinion.
Feels kind of like a money grab for me, Calvin. It gives them another jersey to sell, right? They continue to just put out more and more jerseys every single year to pad their pocketbooks. Just seems like another jersey to sell. Now, I do like the fact that, teams do kind of match a little bit, because it can be hard playing, having everybody wearing different jerseys, right? It can be hard to figure out who's on your team. So maybe they do matching shorts, or maybe they have like armbands or something like that to kind of match. But I love it when they wear their actual team jerseys. I think it's great for the fans of that team, and it really represents where they're coming from, right? They're not representing, LeBron James or De'Aaron Fox. They're representing the Lakers or the Kings or whatever team they're representing during the All-Star game. So I definitely like that. I don't know where the comment box is, but I'm definitely going to find that and put that in there, because I would love it if they were able to return, to what they did in the past. That is for sure. Calvin, did you hear LeBron's comments on Fox and Sabonis post-game from the last victory?
I did.
You want to give us kind of just a brief little reminder on that and give me your thoughts?
LeBron's a smart guy. He knows basketball. I think that his comments were real sound, very analytically sound, and I think that his point about this trade being good for both teams, I feel like here in Sacramento, we're still so caught up in who got the better end of this deal. And right now, it's pretty much an even tie, I think, in my assessment of both teams so far. It's benefited both franchises very, very much, this one individual trade, which, like LeBron said, is rare in this league. It's really, really unprecedented to see one move work so positively for both teams. So I thought it was a really nice thing to say for him, obviously, after getting beat down by the guys. But also LeBron has done that time and time again in his career, giving credit when credit is due. So,
yeah, you got to love greats that help empower guys and try and lift them up and encourage them instead of hating on them. Looking at you, Shaq, I do like Shaq a lot, but it just seems like there's so many times where Shaq is just very, very negative for a lot of these younger players. So I know he tries to encourage, but, people get encouraged by different things. And I love when LeBron can show some love for people. So that's definitely important. Also, Calvin, at the game tonight, they were selling $5 beers. That's right. If you were at the game tonight, they were selling $5 Kona beers, longboard and big wave at the barbecue place at Golden One Center. So really cool there. When's the last time you had a $5 beer at a sporting event, Cal?
When's the last time I had a $5 beer, period? You don't get any of those here in Hawaii. So all the big wave and Kona longboards are like $9 or $10 here. So that's pretty great. Maybe that's why the Kings played so bad, because the players felt like they couldn't pass up the opportunity to get a $5 longboard.
I thought maybe we were going to see another puke guy tonight, right? They're passing out $5 beers. They're giving out free cookies. What could happen? But hey, they were able to hold it together, so that's good. Shout out to Rodders here, supporter from Down Under. Really cool. Welcome in. Thank you for joining in here. Lydia says after halftime they should have been $1 beers. Yeah, they should have. They definitely should have. All right, moving on here, Calvin. I want to talk about the schedule and the next upcoming games, but I think we can talk about the elephant in the room here, Calvin, and that's the holidays, dude. They're coming up this weekend. No matter what you celebrate, what you believe in, Christmas is here on Sunday, and it's everywhere around us, right? You got lights, you got Christmas trees. Obviously, people are giving presents and stuff like that around. Calvin, did you have any plans for Christmas? What do you plan on doing? And then also, I want to hear from you. What's the best Christmas present that you've ever received?
Oh man, that's
or
a
your
tough
favorite.
One. That's a tough one. Well, first of all, what am I gonna do on Christmas? I'm gonna watch basketball, dude. It's one of my favorite parts of Christmas. The game slate, the fact that there's so many, and the matchups are all really, really solid games to watch. I'm very excited for that. The football doesn't hurt too, but there's a lot of really good basketball games to watch. What's the best present I ever got? I mean, I was 7 years old when I got Nintendo 64. That was a game-changing moment, no pun intended, for my life. I think the most memorable present I ever got was not one that I was definitely or particularly a fan of. My dad is a funny guy. He likes to play jokes every once in a while. And one year, I forget how old I was pretty young, but there was the largest present under the tree. I mean, this huge box had my name on it. And I was so excited about it. I was like, I'm going to open that first. Christmas morning rolls around. I go straight for it. I open it. There's nothing inside this box except one unsharpened number 2 pencil. I did not feel very good in that moment. Looking back on it, I laugh at it. I think it was pretty funny, but man, that was pretty cruel at that time. But Nintendo 64, on the other hand, that was a great moment. Great present.
Oh, man. Lydia says the best Christmas present is Mo Bamba. I've been reading a lot of articles about Mo Bamba. Apparently he's on the block. Apparently the Kings have had some discussions. So, Lydia, I don't want to get your hopes up. But, I've been hearing a lot of good things about potentially Mo Bamba coming to Sacramento. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that. I want to hear from you guys here in the chat. Everybody in the chat, write what your favorite Christmas present you've ever received is. Because I'm interested to see what everyone's got.
Now you understand my pain.
Yeah, that's why Calvin doesn't like Christmas. That's why he's a Grinch. Calvin, I think the coolest Christmas present I ever got, besides the one that I already got this year, which I'm not allowed to reveal yet because Christmas hasn't happened, and people will get mad that I started opening my presents early. But, the coolest present I ever got, I remember I was a kid, and I got, what was that, Evel Knievel. It was like an Evel Knievel motorcycle that you pull it back, and it charges it up, and then you let go. Dude, I would ramp that thing off everything. I had so much fun with that toy. I don't even know what happened to it. Could probably buy another one. They're probably like $100 or something on eBay now. But that was one of my favorite presents. Just the memories, right? It's all about the memories, right? You just have such good memories thinking about that stuff. So really, really cool. But yeah, let me know what you guys got. Jesus got a BMX Team Mongoose bicycle. That's great. That's really cool.
Yep. I remember Shea had one of those bikes, a yellow Mongoose BMX. That thing was sweet.
Right.
Very sweet.
Sports streamer, my favorite Christmas present ever is Assassin's Creed Origins. We got a gamer in the house. That's cool. Really, really cool. Rodders, I hated socks and jocks when young, but I'm like, hell yeah. Okay, that's cool. Dude, I gotta figure out my microphone location now. It blocks out like half the chat here, so it makes it a little bit harder for me. Toronto not trading Siakam or OG, and the Kings not trading Fox and Barnes.
Yeah, seriously. Guy, I love you, man, but if I see that Fox and HB for Siakam trade one more time, it's one of the most unrealistic trades I've ever seen. So it just is not going to happen.
Lydia got a 77 Camaro for Christmas. That's awesome,
That's a
Lydia.
good present. That is a good present.
I got to be friends with your friends, Lydia, because that's a great present. That is a really good present. Useful, too. I love my life. A powder blue wood coat with white fur bottom. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, right. Everyone's stoked on Lydia. They're like, "This is
Seriously.
great, dude. You got a Camaro? That's amazing." Lydia just blew everybody out of the water. No one wants to write what they got now because they're not as good as Lydia, and I feel the same way. So, yeah, Lydia, that's awesome. Lydia's balling in high school, dude. She had a 77
Seriously.
Camaro. Really, really cool. All right,
I drove
Calvin.
an 86 Corolla hatchback that had that was older than me, had no power steering, no AC, no sound system in high school. So that's what I was rolling around in.
Calvin, what's your favorite Christmas cookie?
Favorite Christmas cookie? That's a good one.
There's a lot of good ones. Dude. The
There's
sugar
a lot,
cookies.
yeah, I mean,
are
actually,
great.
you know what? I got the answer. I don't even know what to call them, but Barry, you know this. Our roommate Ethan, his mom makes these like pumpkin cinnamon thing
really good.
cookies with icing on. I don't really know how to describe it. All I know is I will eat the entire bag if it's in front of me. They're that good.
Oh man, that's hilarious. I like those sugar. Are they sugar cookies? They're the ones that you can get in like Safeway. They come in the box and they got frosting on top and it's got like sprinkles on it, and they're like kind of sugar cookies, but they're a little soft. I don't even know what the hell they're called. Maybe one of you guys do. Please let me know in the chat. But I love those cookies. Those are great. Okay, moving on, Calvin. Let's talk a little bit about the schedule because, hey, we're a little over an hour into the show already, and it's Friday. We want to have some fun tonight, and I actually want to enjoy one of my Christmas presents that I'm not allowed to have or talk about yet. So I got maybe another 15, 20 minutes left in me. But let's talk about the schedule, Calvin. Coming off a win against the Lakers, which felt really, really good. And we had a great stream, a lot of energy in the chat. And then we lose to Washington tonight. A really disappointing game. You said probably the most disappointing of the season. I don't know if I felt that way, but it definitely was very, very hurtful and a bad game to watch in my opinion. But coming up next, we got another chance, dude. Another chance to get a win here, and that's against the Denver Nuggets. 2 games back to back, Tuesday, Wednesday. Before we dive into this, Calvin, I want to hear your thoughts on back to backs. Are they a necessary evil of part of the schedule? Do you think they need to be eliminated? And then also, the past couple seasons we've seen stuff like this where there's a back-to-back against the same team. So I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, if you're going to play 82 games, I don't see there being a way you can't have back-to-backs. It's just too many games to play. The schedule, when you combine, all these arenas have other schedules for other events going on, it makes it pretty difficult, I think, not to have back-to-backs. I think it's unrealistic. I do actually like what the NBA has done recently with scheduling these back-to-backs, 2 teams, 2 days in a row in the same arena. I think it helps with travel. I think it helps with rest and trying to get guys not as tired on these long 6 to whatever it is. The rodeo road trip's like 13 games or something like that that the Spurs have to be away for some ungodly amount. I like having the back-to-backs, where you play the same team twice. I don't think that it should be done too many times throughout the course of the season, but I do think that it helps in terms of cutting down the type of wear and tear that long road trips and travel can have, an effect on your team.
All right, so let's go ahead here and dive into the next game. It is on Tuesday against the Denver Nuggets, and we will be live post-game, same time, so make sure you guys tune in for that. But, hey, the Kings are actually favored to win this game, according to ESPN. That's a little weird. Apparently, they have a 53% chance. I doubt Vegas agrees with them, and I haven't seen the spread yet on this game. But there's currently nobody on the injury report. We'll see if this gets updated tomorrow. We'll see what happens with Domantas Sabonis. But, yeah, these are two really, really tough games, Calvin, back-to-back against a team. Maybe this benefits the Kings in terms of, like, if you have a bad game on Tuesday, you can make some adjustments and come back on Wednesday. I feel like it gives you maybe a better shot at splitting the games as opposed to playing, like, the Nuggets one night and then, like, the Celtics the next night, right? You have a second shot at it. But, give me your thoughts here on the game, and then we'll dive into your keys.
Well, it goes without saying that this is going to be a tough task here for the Kings. Both of these games, the Nuggets are playing as good, if not better, than any other team in the NBA right now. They have one of the most dominant big men in the game, and if Sabonis is going to be, I assume he'll be questionable for these games. If he's going to miss one or both of them, that's going to make it that much more difficult for Sacramento. But here you go. I mean, if you want to be, we say it all the time on this channel, if you want to be a good team, if you want to be in the playoffs, these are the types of games that you're going to have to grit and grind and find ways to be competitive in and try to pull out a win.
Shout out to Sass for joining in. Sass, yeah, I think this is 2 triple-doubles in a row for Sabonis. So unless you watched the last game, you missed both of those. But great game for him, not great game for the Sacramento Kings. So I wouldn't worry about missing too much here. This is a tough matchup. Like I said, this team has the best record in the West. They have arguably the best center in the NBA, coming off 2 MVP awards, could potentially win a third one this year. He's playing incredibly, incredibly well. And this is a much different team than last year, right? They're healthy. They got Murray back. This is a complete basketball team with a ton of talent. And this is a team that wants to go deep in the playoffs. So, they're taking every single game seriously. But I kind of stand by what I said as far as, having 2 games against a team like this back-to-back, I think gives you a little bit better option and maybe splitting the games 1-1 as opposed to playing 2 really, really good teams back-to-back that are different teams. So I think that's a little bit of a positive. My keys to the game, like Lydia says here, is defense. And honestly, no excuses would be my second key to this game. We'll see if Domantas Sabonis can suit up for it or not. But honestly, it's got to be a next man up attitude. It's got to be every possession counts, every minute counts. Don't give up. No excuses. Try your best. And honestly, put it all out on the floor. The best team will win. And the Denver Nuggets may be the best team in the West right now, but they might not be the best team on Tuesday night. So we'll definitely pay attention to that. Calvin, what are your keys to the game?
Well, I think defense is definitely a good key to have. I'm going to go a little more specific than that, and I'm going to say transition defense. The Nuggets, they can get up and down. They have a lot of very athletic players, but they also have the best passing big men in the game, and he is really good at grabbing the ball. Sabonis, I think, is an excellent, maybe the best rake and take center in the NBA in terms of being able to grab the ball and then put it on the floor himself and lead the break. Jokic is probably the best deep passing threat, full court, fast break passing threat of any big man in the NBA. He's always got his eyes up court, and he throws beautiful, beautiful passes, one-handed full court passes. So the Kings are going to have to make sure especially if they're struggling to shoot from the outside again. Long rebounds usually equal easy opportunities for the other team to get out, leak out, and get some good looks at the basket. So transition defense is going to be very, very important. I'm looking at how the Kings attack this team defensively too. It's no secret that Jokic is not a great perimeter defender, and a lot of teams like to attack him by putting him in the pick and roll and getting him switched onto a guard. De'Aaron Fox is the perfect person to do that with. However, the Kings, their system right now, they usually run most of their offense through Sabonis, and it's not that much pick and roll with him and De'Aaron Fox. So I'm interested to see if they make a little bit of an adjustment in one of these games. Or if, heaven forbid, Sabonis isn't able to play, then what are you going to do? Pick and roll with Rashawn Holmes. So I think you definitely have to attack Sabonis defensively, Jokic defensively in order to kind of counteract what he's going to do in the other areas of the game.
Yeah, great point. Attack Jokic early, attack him often. We talked about guys being aggressive on the last stream. We need HB to be extremely aggressive. We need Keegan Murray to be aggressive and try and bounce back from this game. And then you mentioned it, De'Aaron Fox. We need De'Aaron Fox to be aggressive. We need to go at Jokic when he's in the paint, and then he needs to get him to switch onto him when he's at the perimeter too, right? And force him to either leave a wide open shot at the basket for De'Aaron Fox or him have to foul De'Aaron and try and prevent De'Aaron from making it there. But hey, that pretty much wraps up the show for us tonight. Calvin, are you frozen?
I might be.
You look frozen. Oh, okay.
I'm unfrozen.
It's cooling. It's cooling down here. It's 75, so Calvin's starting to freeze. When it gets under 80, he tends to do that. So, hey, that's it for us tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to smash up that like button, hit that subscribe button. We will be back on Tuesday against the Nuggets. And guys, real quick, when this stream ends, you're going to be rerouted to Tuesday's scheduled video. So please like that video. And then I'd like it if you guys would comment down below or in the chat what your predictions are of Tuesday's game. So whether you want to say score, whether you want to say, how many points De'Aaron Fox is going to have, if Sabonis will play, yes or no, write that there in the chat. And then it'll be a lot of fun on Tuesday to kind of go over some of those predictions, see who was wrong, who was right. So that would be a lot of fun. Calvin, any last words?
Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Everybody enjoy the weekend, whether you're, spending time with family, watching sports, however you're going to take it in. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
He sees you when you're sleeping, right? He sees you when you're awake, and he'll check that list twice. So make sure you guys are good over the weekend. Have a wonderful holidays. Give all your relatives lots of hugs. Thank you guys so much for watching. And in the meantime, go Kings.